Hey y'all, Chris here from On the Back Hash. Just want to, before the video starts, go over a couple of things. We had our good friend Jordan join us for this episode. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties as we were recording this. So Jordan's feed kind of hops in and out and kind of stutters and goes through there. It's still a great interview, and we didn't want to not release it. So we have it here. So just bear with us as we go through this stuff. Still some really good points that he makes, and we want to make sure he knows the experience. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Back Hash. Zach got in a little late, so he had to go flush the toilet. But
I know you got jokes.
Yeah, well, you got
click.
Yeah. But anyway, how's everybody doing? We got Zach and Chris and Will, and we got another face that's in a magic square today.
Oh,
We do.
Yeah, we do. I'd like to welcome Mr. Jordan Fillingham.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? He's already like, what did I sign up for?
there ain't no telling what you're going to get. It's all improv.
But Jordan, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
That's awesome. Jordan is a college friend of all of ours in some capacity.
Mine.
He's in a class with
say,
you right now.
Oh, well, I guess that's true now. But
And he's a fraternity
college
brother of
time.
yours, William.
But I just met him, so
Well,
He was in my pledge class. We went through this.
so
there's a lot of fraternity people I'll be meeting.
I'm gonna say, do you wear your shirt much up there?
Yeah.
And people come up to you?
They, not much yet. Like I said, the first show don't start till like next week. So you gotta get to enough shows to try. I did wear it to when I told you I went to Camiac's parents and friends night.
Mhm.
Wore it there. So, but that's indoor, so you never know who.
If I try to wear my letter shirt now, it'd be look like a tank top, like a thing. Maybe that thing. It's bad.
No, that shirt gets worn out.
But yeah. So
Cubs colors. I think Jordan, you got a Cubs color one. I think we got those all together. I think.
Yeah. I don't know what's happened to that.
I don't know what mine is either.
I'm pretty sure I passed it on to my littles.
Yeah.
you gotta frame those things, man. You never know. But yeah, Jordan did a little DCI in his time, so we thought we'd give him a shout out and hear about his stint there, and the things that he went through and the experiences he had, and this, it's always cool to get a bunch of different perspectives, especially for folks that are in a different field besides the music field, because we can talk about how DCI particularly maybe helped them be where they are today. So always good to talk to some folks that have done it in the past. So I'm going to kind of throw it over to Zach. He's our interviewer specialist. Let's call him Walter Conkright.
You win.
So we'll just get started then. Jordan, if you just want to kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and stuff like that. What do you do?
Yeah. So
Security number.
No. Currently, I'm the principal of Clinton County Middle School in Albany, Kentucky. We're a little bit when I lived in Bowling Green, we consider Bowling Green South Central Kentucky, but really where we're at is really South Central Kentucky. It's in between Dale Hollow Lake and Lake Cumberland, a little bit off the beaten path. Takes about an hour to get to anywhere to go do stuff. But so I've called this home for the past 7 years. Before that, before this is actually my first year as principal. I served as a curriculum for the past 3 years, and then I taught band and music here in Clinton County Middle School. And then before that, I was band director at Cumberland County Middle School and high school in Burkesville, Kentucky. That was my first job. So lots of good memories in Burkesville, and we still go to church in Burkesville. We have a lot of friends there still. So Went to like I said, I call Bowling Green home. That's where we lived the longest. We kind of moved around quite a bit when I was growing up. But went to Greenwood High School and then went on to Western with Chris and C Money, as we called him back then. Music ed major, and then went back and got my master's at Western as well. And now I'm going back for a third time for my principal certificate.
When did you graduate from Greenwood?
In 2005. So me and Chris actually graduated the same year when he was at Warren East.
I'm trying to think if I taught the front while you were there. You would have been a freshman if I did.
Yeah, I mean, that was around the time that Ryan Lair was there. Who else? Gosh.
Was Nick Price there?
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So y'all did have Nick Price.
I think he was helping out, yeah.
Mikey Cowan?
Yes, I do remember Mikey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just want to tell you that our 20-year reunion year is coming
I
up.
know.
It sucks, man.
So yeah, a small world moment. You're talking about going back for your third degree, and we ended up being in the same summer class. There was 5 of us total,
Yeah.
and we were in class for 4 hours straight, one night a week, and suffered through that. And then this semester rolled around, and we're seeing each other on Zoom for that as well. So, and here we are again, looking at each other through these little boxes. At least this is more enjoyable than class. But so yeah, first question that we always ask our guests is, just tell us when and where did you march drum corps, and what shows were you in?
So I marched for 4 years. My first year, I marched with Southwind up in Lexington in 2006. And then after that, I went on to the Cavaliers, and I marched in 2007, 2008, and I aged out in 2009. So I think this show I did in 2006 at Southwind was called Duality. The horn line and the drum line wore 2 different colors of bibs, white and black, and we had the different color shakos, and then the guard. I think I can't remember, but that was a fun show. And then I marched Cavaliers the 2007, and So It Goes, the Billy Joe show, and then Samurai 2008, and then the Great Divide 2009. So lots of good memories from all 4 years. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
You're on Mellow Line? Is that what you?
Yeah, when I went and auditioned pretty late for Southwind, and I went up there for trumpet because that's my primary instrument. And
that's right.
They were all their spots were full, but they like, why don't you try out mellow? I'm like, okay, and so I did. That was fun. But I did march trumpet my 3 years at the Cavaliers.
I say they sound like they got you, like they kind of got me when I marched Scouts, because I played trumpet, but they wanted me to play euphonium. I was like, first of all, I am a high brass player, so I was like, I do not have nobody's low brass chops. So I actually turned them down the first time, and then they came back to me like maybe a week or so later, and then I was like, you know what? Okay, let's see how we can work this out. So I go to my old band director over at Hopkinsville High School. And they let me borrow a mouthpiece, so I just used the mouthpiece for the time being. It was like, I don't know how long it was, but I'm just like running up and down the street trying to buzz and run and get some type of fit going on. I was like, y'all not going to laugh at me when I get up in there.
I would have paid money to see you running up and down the street buzzing around.
Right, ridiculous. Just buzzing.
What is this
if there would have been a Joe Immel tweets account of the police scanner, we would have had somebody calling the police on Willie.
It's crazy, though.
Strange man, possibly on drugs, running up and down the street.
Listen, it is crazy because if I ain't mistaken, I think they put everything in triple clef too. Because we was it was the last year Scouts and probably any drum corps used G bugles.
Back in the good old days when drum corps was drum corps.
I would have traded for a B flat in a day and a half. This thing weighed more than 2 bricks and an elephant. I was like, this is ridiculous. Don't nobody want to hold this heavy instrument all summer. What is that doing?
One that you did that?
Not one brick in an elephant, 2 bricks in an elephant. Oh man,
I hated it, dude. We used to make fun of all of the smaller instruments. Like, y'all try holding this thing out in front of you for this long.
We used to do that with kids. We used to do camps. We used to do instrument swaps with them.
Oh, we did.
Oh, yeah.
We did. We made sure that the trumpets took ours on purpose.
Yeah. I can remember when I marched Southwind in pre-tour, we did a block towards the end of it where we had to swap, and we did a visual block. And we, the new guys, we didn't get to choose our instrument. The old guys chose it for us. And I can remember being given a baritone, and I was like, "This is miserable."
Yeah,
I don't know.
It sure is. Because I think Mello's got the contras too. Because everybody was like, "Yeah, it's time."
Welcome to our world.
Yeah, so kind of talking about your experience with Southwind and then the Cavaliers, what drew you to join those groups?
Well, a lot of it goes back to my first drum corps show, which was actually at Western back when they had the Drums on the Hill. It was the summer before my 8th grade year, and one of my mom's friends at work, who had been a previous music major at Western too, had mentioned to my mom about the drum corps show they were going to have up there, and she had no idea what it was. I had no idea, but because I was in band at the middle school, my mom thought it'd be a good idea. So she took me out there, and that was that year. I forget who all was there at that show, but I remember I got to see the Cavaliers perform Niagara Falls in person. And I was like, I mean, it just blew me away. It blew me away. And I can remember going back to school after that summer and telling my band teacher about it. And I thought it was funny because I told her that I went to the show and I was excited about it, and she was rooting for the Madison Scouts, and I was like, no. It was all about the Cavaliers. Well, yeah, but so that was like the seed that was planted right there, and then when I got into high school, a lot of the guys that were in my trumpet section, the older guys, they were huge Cavalier fans. They're the ones that exposed me to all the other shows like Four Corners, Framework, Spin Cycle. I mean, they would put them on play in the band room when we had downtime, and I can just remember their enthusiasm for them, and it just caught me. And then I can remember my senior year, one of my classmates at Greenwood, he went and marched Madison in 2005. And I can just remember thinking, man, that'd be so cool if I could do it. But I never thought I had the capacity to do it. So I just kind of always just thought I'd be a spectator, not a performer. And then I can remember that following year after he marched, I mean, I just started asking questions left and right about it, and it just got me thinking. And so I wasn't brave enough to go up and audition for the Cavaliers because it was at that point they only did the auditions up in Chicago, and being from Bowling Green, I was like, that's just too far away. And I just, I was like, I'll probably never get to do it. And that, for some reason, that winter of 2006, I just happened to email the Southwind and asked them if they had any spots, and they said, yeah, come on up to a camp. And so I drove up by myself up to, I think at that point they were doing winter camps up in Paris, up at Bourbon County. So I drove up there by myself and took my trumpet and played a little bit for them. They're like, well, we don't have a trumpet spot, and they offered me a mellophone spot, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. Let's just see what we're getting into. And so, I went and did all their camps and went and did pre-tour. Pre-tour kicked my butt, but it really got me in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll wait. We wait.
I'm gonna stop the recording.
No.
Never mind.
Yeah,
No, not.
right.
It happened before when we was with Gianni, remember?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So
I don't know what happened.
You're good.
hey, it's all good. You're back.
All good.
Yeah.
It just said
It's like-
it just said refresh. I'm like, okay.
Well, It just makes my editing time harder, so it's okay.
Mhm.
That's all I did.
Make him earn his money. You'll be all right.
So, talk about, you marched Southwind that first year, and then you went to Cavaliers after that. Do you think after you're just getting a year under your belt, you were ready to kind of make the jump, or did you just was your experience good at Southwind and you thought, okay, I want to take the next step, or kind of tell us about that decision?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like going through pre-tour, we did our pre-tour out in Barberville at Union College, literally out in the middle of nowhere. Like that got me ready for where I live now, because in Barberville they only had like a Dairy Queen. That was it. Um, pre-tour.
Why does every small town just have a Dairy Queen? I feel like that's the only restaurant.
Or a
every small
Sonic?
town.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's it.
But I remember that. I mean, it was tough, but I think it gave me some grit to see it through. And I can just
Hmm.
remember, but at that point, like that, Southland was my only conception of drum corps. And then we got on the road, and our first show was at Oswego up in Illinois. And I can remember marching the first show, and I think it fell apart at some point, because in that show, like where it was called Duality, like we were on separate sides of the field trying to coordinate, and like the grass. If you've ever marched at Oswego, you know that it's a terrible field. The grass is high. It's got one of those like mounded fields. So we
Hmm.
were in the back, and the high brass was in the back, and the low brass was in the front of this corner and that corner. And I think the start of the show just did not go well. So we didn't really have a great first performance, but everybody was just glad to get it done. But I can remember going and changing and coming, and the Cavaliers were there, and they were the last ones to go on, and they came out with Machine, and like within like after
Hmm.
the first hit, I was like, dang. I was like, I
Yep.
I missed my calling. And at that point, like, I mean, I didn't know it, but I was like, I've got to go at least try. I've got to at least try. And so, I went the rest of that season, not necessarily like, um, you know, constantly thinking about it, but I mean, I did keep up with it, and it was fun to watch the other drum corps. But I just knew, back from my time in high school, and all my friends just, it just the Cavaliers were always the ones that I just like. That's the drum corps I want to go march, and so watched finals, and I was like, man, I've got to do it. And so luckily that for the next season, for the 2007 season, they added some additional satellite camps, and there was one in Atlanta. Because at that point, I was still pretty nervous about having to go all the way up to Chicago to audition. So, Atlanta's just 4 hours down the road from Bowling Green. So I was like, I can give this a try. So I bought the packet and practiced and put the time in and drove down to Atlanta. And luckily, there were some guys that marched with me at Southwind that were there at that camp too. So they kind of helped me feel a little bit more at ease, just knowing some people there.
Hmm.
And at that point, the Atlanta camp was a new idea about trying to spread out to grow the membership, or just the diversity of the membership. And so it wasn't a full camp, so it did have that quaint feeling to it, where it wasn't as overwhelming. So I can remember going and auditioning, and my audition went pretty well. Um, and then they gave me a call back, and I was like, well, that's exciting, but it was in Chicago. Like, you had to go for the second camp, you had to go all to Chicago, and that kind of made me nervous. So I made the arrangements, and kept working at it, and flew up there and did my callback. And when it was all said and done, I think like there was over 600 people that auditioned that year. It was crazy. It was a huge amount of people. Um, but I ended up getting a fourth alternate spot, so I still didn't even have a spot at that point. But they were like, are you interested in pursuing this as an alternate? And I was like, you know what, might as well, might as well. And so I stuck with it. And I think sometime around March, I got a call from the caption head, the brass caption head. He's like, well, you've got a spot now. Are you want to take it? And I can remember being in the hallway of the third floor up at the Fine Arts Center when I got that call. And I was like, I mean, like, I can remember it to this day, getting that call. And I was like, okay, this is real. I'm like, I'm doing this. Let's go. So, and then from there, it was the rest is history.
That's
That's
awesome.
crazy. You said it was a fourth alternate.
Yeah.
I'm curious how they decide that. So, like, is there like a first through four in alternates, and then like, are they picking through?
Well, they had already.
Like, I don't even know how to ask what I'm trying to ask.
No, I understand. And I actually think it was there was a guy from Murray State that was offered a spot, and I think after that December camp, I think he had to decline his spot. So then that moved me from fourth to third, and then there were a couple other people that yeah, and that's how it worked.
Wow, that's crazy.
So
very fortunate though.
Well, it just goes to show, if you've got a dream and you've got something stick with it, and it'll work out.
Because there's a lot of folks that would have bumped that at that last the last one you had before the guy came up to you and was like, would you want to be an alternate?
Yeah.
Like some would have just dropped in. They figure, oh well, I ain't make it. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll come up with some excuse because it's like an alternate, because in your mind it makes you think, well, what are my chances of actually getting on it if I'm at an alternate? So I might as well just, cut out the middleman and just, leave. And usually sometimes that's the mistake people do a lot.
Yeah.
Because it seems like I feel like that happen. I feel like I hear about that happening a lot. People get an alternate, and then just stuff happens, and people have to drop out or figure out they're not going to be able to afford it or make it work, or they get hurt or something, and then they're making calls the last minute saying, "Hey, if you can make it here at our next camp, you're in."
Yeah. I don't know, like, because at that point in that January camp when they gave me the alternate, at that point, like, I had no idea. But all I knew was I wanted to be a part of it, and like they treated us so good at the camps, and I can still remember to this day, even at that Atlanta camp, when we were going through the audition process, they would put the horn line together, and we played through. They put the Jupiter Corral in front of us from the '95 show, and I can remember playing that. I had goosebumps because like I had watched that show, and that moment right there at the end before they took off to finish the show, them playing that corral, I can still. I could remember. And it was like, I'm getting to experience this right now. You know what I mean? And so like, and then even like when I went to the callback camp and there were all those veterans that were there. And I was, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm standing next to a person that marched in the machine or somebody that marched in the 007 show. I was like, this is crazy. Like, like at that point I thought they were celebrities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a combination of a lot of things that just they were good to us. Just getting, and then like even at that, I think if I can remember right, at that callback camp, I think Richard Saucedo was there. Just all those people, all those great designers that had put together all these great shows before. I was like, hey, I don't care if I have to sit on the sidelines and watch it all. I just want to be a part of this experience, And so, it just goes to show, if you want something and you stick with it, you'll get it if you work at it,
So I was just thinking about this one because you said there was like 600 people that are auditioning, and like, right after like probably one of the most iconic shows,
Yeah, it's like peak Cavalier time frame to be involved with them.
Yeah. So
they're just on a tear that whole, those
a decade. They owned the
decade. Yeah.
So what did you do to kind of like prepare yourself to get the notice? Like what were some things that you did to like, I won't say stand out, but make sure you were ready to like show off your strengths, that kind of stuff? Like what did you kind of do for that?
Well, I don't really remember 100%. I know like at that first camp, because we got scores based on our visual and our music, and at that point my visual was high. I had a higher visual score than my music score, but I don't know. Like I think a lot of the experience from marching at Southwind really helped prepare me to be prepared for that audition,
Mhm.
that, you know, because I kind of had some idea of what was expected, the demands from marching in a Division I corps.
Mhm.
You know, I think that really helped. But see, still, even at that point, like, because the way that we marched at Southwind was completely different than the
Mhm.
marching style they used at the Cavaliers at that time when they marched with the bent knee. You know, and we had to learn how to do
Mhm.
that. I don't know.
I just remember you while you were at Western and when you was marching Cavies, I was just like, he looks like a Cavalier. Like he just looks like he belongs in that corps.
Yo, this guy, I remember when he was getting fit. I mean, this guy was fit. I'm telling you, like running nonstop all the time, swimming. I used to swim with him a lot, and it was, man, it was crazy. Couldn't keep up.
I miss those days. I do.
I do too. I do too.
Life was easier.
Yes,
My
yeah,
Mm.
body didn't ache as much then.
yeah, for real. I was moving a prop yesterday at our home show, and my knee started hurting. So that tells you anything about where I am in life. Like I was like started limping. I'm like, I can't show these kids I'm limping right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough.
Let's see. What's next on my list here? Do you have any like memorable moments from tour or fun stories that that just kind of stick in your brain?
Well, I have a lot of fun stories. Unfortunately, a lot of those probably not appropriate for me to talk, to discuss in a public forum.
We'll save that after we get done.
But I think, for me, a lot of it was just those milestones that were built into my experience. And when I marched, there was a lot of traditions that were built into the corps. A lot of things that we had that as a new member you had to work towards. So I can remember, in like I said, like at the audition camp, getting to play um, through the Jupiter Corral. And then even at the callback camp, they went ahead and gave us a little bit snippet of the opener for the And So It Goes show. And I can remember getting to experience that. And I was like, and that was my first experience playing a Richard Saucedo arrangement. I was like, this is awesome. Like, everything that I've watched up until that point, I was like, I'm getting to experience this right now. And then once we got into like pre-tour, that year, getting ready for the first show, I can remember them. One of the rehearsals, we got to put the Aussie on for the first time. I was like, this is awesome. And then getting ready for the actual first show, learning that the handshake that we go through before we go on to perform, then getting to wear the greens for the first time. I mean, you felt like Superman putting that uniform on,
Hmm.
and you just realizing that this is real. But there's a lot of things in the corps that you have to work towards to earn. And like, I can remember, like, the Cavaliers have a very iconic corps jacket, the black with the green. And I can remember,
Hmm.
like, even when I was in high school, spotting other people that had it, I was like, that's awesome. I want one of those. I want to wear one of those one day. But at the Cavaliers, you weren't allowed to wear your corps jacket until you marched your first show. So I can remember my first competition show. We marched it at the Annapolis up at the Navy Stadium, and I think I was more excited about after the first show, because I knew I was going to get to finally put that jacket on, because we had bought it and purchased it, and they let us try it on to make sure it fit, but then you couldn't wear it no more. And so I can remember being excited to get to wear that for the first time. And they, in the corps, the older guys always make fun of the new guys about their jackets, and they would call us seekers, because we would try to go out and seek the fame with it. But there's something you work towards, and when you finally get that opportunity to get to wear it, it's something special. So I remember that. And then we have, we wore the gears in the corps, which I never really knew about the gears until I actually got into the program. But I can remember that first year, all the older guys had a gear, and I was like, well, I don't have one. But you had to work towards that. And so I can remember towards the end of the year or the end of the summer before we went into the final season, we had a special the boo dinner where we were presented with our gear. So I remember getting to wear that for the first time. And I can still vividly remember going into finals for the first time. I don't know, because I marched finals, semifinals with Southwind at Camp Randall, which that was an amazing experience in itself because there's so much history at that stadium. But for whatever reason, like when the year at the Cavaliers, that was when it was at the Rose Bowl, and when I marched in Southwind, we performed during the day, and when I marched at Cavaliers, finals was at night, and that was like you walked in, the crowd saw us, and they went crazy, So I can still remember that, and it's just those are just some really good core memories that I had. And then once after you finish your first year, the tradition back then was going into your second year. Then you really you go through the process to become a Cavalier, and so there's a whole process where in your second year you go through and you learn about the course history and traditions and the significance about a lot of things that people aren't aware of, and then you get your white gear, which is the gear you're given once you're initiated into the program. So I can remember being excited about getting that. So it's just for me, it was just all those milestones that I went through with the program. And, I really cherished a lot of that. And I think it was neat that they had that built into the core, because like at Southwind, they had those traditions too, but at the Cavaliers, it was like something you had to work towards to get, you know what I mean? So that was really special for me.
I was like, that's something cool about the Cavaliers, man. Like everything that they have is iconic. I think like anyone that's part of the sport or hear about the sport, it's Cavies, it's the gear, it's the green, it's the Aussies. Like not a lot of cores have those big iconic pieces as many as the Cavaliers do, which is I think is awesome to be able to experience that. I do have one question though. Were you one of those guys during the summertime that had their core jacket on when it's like 120 degrees in Texas? Did you do that? Because
that's who we called the Seekers. Like those.
Okay, all
so,
right. So okay, all right. So all right. Let's say because we'll be up there at DCI finals and these guys in their core jackets. I'm like, man, it is 95 degrees outside.
Now I will say that after that summer when I got back home, I definitely wore mine when it got colder, and I was very, very proud of it. So
yes, appropriate proudness at the appropriate season and time. It's always important when it comes to that stuff. So,
hey,
all right,
mine says that the recording has stopped. Is this my fault?
No, and I think you're still good on my end.
Your red dot is gone. I don't know.
Yeah,
his red dot's gone on mine.
Do I need to hit refresh?
Try it out. Yeah.
He has bad connection during class too sometimes, so it's probably that BFE internet.
Yeah,
there we go. He's recording again. There we go.
I don't know when that went out either. So
I don't either.
So we'll figure it out.
It's a mystery.
Riverside be doing the most. What year did finals get to Indy?
I think it was 2009.
Yeah, because 2008.
Okay.
2008. Well, 2008 was when it was at IE because that's when that was the first year me and Will went.
That was
because I was trying to. I was thinking of that because I remember you said you went to the Rose Bowl. I was like, man, that probably would have been pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
And because ours was in Florida somewhere. I don't know. I just know it was in Florida because I went to Disney. The whole core went to Disney World, or something like that. Is it Disneyland or World down there?
World.
Disneyland is California. Disney World.
World. Okay. And then I remember staying a week after tour was over. We stayed in Florida. I was like, man, when did it get to Indy? But yeah, man, that atmosphere is different.
Yeah, I think Florida is one of the states I never ever travel to on my tour.
Really?
Or on any of the tours that I marched. Yeah.
That's weird.
I don't think they go.
I was about to say, I don't know if they go to Florida anymore.
Yeah.
That's weird too. I
Let's
mean, I
see.
get it.
Still going to Texas.
If you could have marched for any other corps, who would you have chosen?
I don't think I can answer that because, like, I mean, it was pretty much, I mean, like, again, like, Southwind was, I marched there because they were close, and I was, just scared to go off on my own, and I took a chance, and they wanted me, and I stuck with it, and then, even still after that, had it not been for the Atlanta camp, I really don't know if I would have gone and auditioned for the Cavaliers, but I don't think I could ever see myself marching for anybody else. I really don't. I mean, like, I guess now, I don't know, like, but back then, no, it was only the Cavaliers. But like now, like, I kind of like a lot of the shows that Crown does. Those seem to be a lot of fun. But like even Boston's doing a lot of cool things now too. But I don't but if back then, no, there was no other option for me.
That's fair.
I kind of
There's a reason 600 people were at camp.
Yeah.
I kind of used to say that because I got first put on scouts when I was still in high school, and I was the same way. I was like, man, I wanted to get down there when they were still like in the whole kilt era, where in the uniform and stuff like that. But I always said, if I ever did goose somebody else, I would probably sell a liver to get to Vanguard or somebody. That would probably be my second choice.
Being a front ensemble person myself, Vanguard probably would have been my choice. Like, I thought about Crown. I had some folks in Crown. Some folks I marched in high school with that went to Crown. That might have would have been an option. And I love the Scouts too. And then I'm like you, 2000, 2001, 2002 Cavs. I was like, okay, this is band. This is this. But as a playing member, probably would have been like Vanguard or somebody.
I would have always liked to have been a blue coat.
You've been saying that forever.
Yeah.
That's around the time you were in high school. That's when they kind of started building that identity that they have now.
Yeah, Metropolis and all that stuff was going on. So, kind of similar to that, the same question. Instead of talking about a general core, is there a show that, and it could be from any group, is there a show that you wish you could have been a part of?
Oh, I definitely kicked myself that I didn't audition for Machine, but everything works out for a reason. But that I don't know. I mean, because that show just connects so well to the identity of the core. And then, like, when you get in, when I got in the next year, and they would tell me the things, and the vignettes that they knew as the members of what was special about this part of the show. Yeah, I kick myself to this day that I didn't audition, but for that year. But everything works out for a reason.
Lastly, I have the big one that's what's your favorite DCI show of all time? You may have already talked about it.
I don't know, the planets. I mean, from '95. I don't know. There's just something special about that one too, and I mean,
they
I
just did it right, bro.
Yeah,
they just did it. It just worked.
And again, the Jupiter Corral right there at the end, just all that momentum moving into it, and they just pause, and they turn back field, and they just play that very lyrical line, and they turn around and just blow it straight to the audience, and then they just shoot off and finish it at the end, and they throw that guy up on the pole. I mean, I don't know, like, and the shows today, they're great and all, but I don't know, there's something about those older shows.
Because we turned around and did it right. Uptown,
yeah.
Uptown turned around did. I think we were I'm dead serious. I think we were 6 out of finals, and I think County beat us and got in. Or what, we 6? All I remember is we was back at a hotel. The instructors come in. It was Brad Deason at the time. Came in and told everybody, and everybody sobbing, crying, and everything. Because we just knew it. We went out there and laid it. Come turn out, County just beat us by like point something, and they got in the finals, and we missed it, and we missed out of finals. I was like, oh my god, crazy. We didn't do exactly what Cavies did, but our show was the planets. And so I think we also did a song from what was it, Stargate or something random like that. It was weird.
Stargate?
Dude, back in the day, go listen to that track. Like it was something random. It wasn't all Augusta Holtz. It was something else. They threw in there. It was random.
He don't understand what we had to go through in the 90s.
No, you don't.
No, hey, we're on the tail end of that.
No.
Come on, like
we had asphalt, practice fields.
Going away for 2 hours from camp.
What you said?
Camp starts at 6 a.m., ends at 9 p.m.
Had the whole show
From
on
home.
before you left.
We did. You darn right we did.
Well, y'all also didn't have to backwards march, so I mean that's
Nope. No, we backwards marched and flanks.
Everything has a 4-count turn.
Yeah, no.
Deep, 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 deep.
You're out there dancing for you guys, getting judged and all that stuff.
Playing 4 songs that made no sense. Like, what is this show concept?
The show is called A Concert.
At all. And we ate it up too. Out there just playing. Yeah, that was a good year, man.
Yeah, my first show ever, my first year in high school, our show was the Planets. And I want to say that arrangement of the Planets was kind of close to what Cavaliers did. And Cedric, I don't know, no, you weren't there yet. Yes, you
I
were.
was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
That was our first full year together.
So you might be able to remember more about that than I did. I just remember that it was really long and hard.
You know what I do remember from that show? Was we're sitting up there during band camp during lunch.
Uh-huh.
It was me, Ced, Dayton, BJ, all up there, and we just got done with running sectionals, playing Jupiter nonstop, and then here we go in to watch TV.
Oh yeah.
This commercial had Jupiter in it, and we immediately just turned on TV like we can't do it right now. I was like, could not get away from I love the Planets, but could not get away from it.
Jeez.
No, especially Kentucky, people don't know how to let stuff go.
Oh
And Mars get played one more time. If I hear another da-da-da-da-da, I'm sitting here like, bruh.
Well, don't watch Logan County show.
Don't watch Logan County. Don't do it.
Ours is different. It's not just straight off the book.
No.
None of our Planets music is straight off the book. But
my recording stopped again.
That's weird.
Let's try it. Could be a cash issue, which is okay. We'll just talk between while he gets back, because I think we're close to being finished anyway.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're almost done anyway.
So Jordan, what type of, and you can do this for while you were a band director, or you can do it now as a school administrator. But what kind of lessons from either Southwind or Cavies did you take and use either in the band world or in the administration part of it?
Well, I mean, I think probably the biggest thing is just how to be organized, because when you get on to tour and you're going from this place to this place, you're on a strict deadline or a timeline. Be here now, be here then. Everything's got to be put away, and we always had roles or jobs that we had to do. And just understanding how everybody has, even off the field, everybody has a role to play. And if you're not putting in your effort, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody else, So I think just learning how to be a team player, how to get along with other people, the grit, just things get tough, when you, like, I can remember that my first year in the Cavaliers, there was a section in the third production that it just wasn't going well. The design wasn't what they wanted. It just didn't jive well. And I think we were 3 days somewhere in Michigan, and like they were throwing stuff at us left and right, and none of it was working. And you had to have some patience and just trust the process. Um, a big part of that I take away is just accountability too. When I marched the Cavaliers, the visual program was know your dot, um, know how to get from your dot A to dot B, and you had like I know they have that new program, the UDB app, where it does all that for you. Now we had to do that back then in our head on those little dot books. So that's cool that they have that now. But I mean, you were responsible for and I can remember like the old guys on the bus, like when we first got out on tour, they would grill us in the back of the bus because then that was something different too. All the other drum corps I know, the old guys sit in the back and the new guys sit in the front, but they, for some reason, the Cavaliers, they flip flopped it, so the new guys were in the back of the bus. But they would come back there and they would grill it. They would take our dot books and they would just test us. They would just pick a random set and just test us on. Yeah, I mean, you had to know every single left to right, front to back, how many steps, how many counts, what was your midpoint, what was your quarter point. So it was just crazy to have, like, you had to have that own accountability for yourself. And then even like, in the music side, all the different levels of listening and the tone quality and just knowing how you had a lot of accountability for yourself before you added to the big picture. So I take a lot of that, I think, with me in what I do now, and as far as responsibility and accountability. So
Same thing. They was doing the same thing with us. They would take selected time out of the day to do it, and we would all just sit outside. Same thing. They would take our dot books and read it off. Say, all right, flip to a page. Where are you at here? And blah blah. So I was like, oh, a lot of failing going on.
yeah,
Yeah, we had
Meanwhile, I
something
think
like,
we've got kids in our group that can't even tell you where their opening set is.
listen,
Jesus.
Don't
listen.
even get me started. Don't even get me started.
They did that to us one third movement. I think third movement. We walk out where everybody's sleeping, and you see majority of the staff, more than just the visual staff or whatever, paper all through the hallway. They rewrote the whole drill and every one of us just looked at us, and half of us was just go back in the gym. I was like, it's finna be that day. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know what happened, who said what on the tape or whatever that day. All I remember is we walked out in that hallway, and because said knows, we had a drill writer named Jeremy Hunt, or he was part of our visual shop. He was out there too, and I'm sitting here looking at us like, I'm not even gonna talk to none of them right now because I feel like I'm about to get mad because we finna change all of this. It's like so I feel that it does happen, and it sucks, man. But yeah, that accountability and stuff like that, that's one of the first things I brought back when I started teaching like Russellville and the East and stuff like that. It's like, man, it helps so much, especially with your own style and design, way of teaching and whatnot.
Well, anything else, fellas?
I think we're good, man.
That's all I have on my list.
On your list. You in this list.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, if you have any parting words or advice for anybody or anything like that.
Yeah, anything you would tell somebody who wants to audition?
yeah. I would just say don't let your fear of the unknown hold you back. Put yourself out there, and if it's something that you want, you'll work towards it. And if you just be patient with the process, put in the work, be patient, it'll work out for you. Don't
Mhm.
don't give up on your dreams. You know.
That's the big one.
Yeah. So, well, man, appreciate you coming out and hanging with us. It's always good to hear from you and see you, and you're doing fantastic things. And keep up the good work and all that good stuff.
Got that big boy job now.
All right. Chris is right behind you. Zach is too. Like I said, I don't want. I'll just deal with the snotty middle schoolers. That's just enough for me. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below if you have any more follow up questions for Jordan. We can get them to him and reach out, or if you have any thoughts about watching Core. He marked some pretty significant shows in Cavalier history. We will actually got to see one of those live. We were at Indy for Samurai, so that was really cool. Did you at the end were you one of the swordsmen, or did you have to do the back bend?
No, I did not do the back bend. No, that was the that was the drum major from University of Michigan, and that whole scene was planned around him 100%.
Wow.
It was one of the cooler moments of that season that I remember.
No, I think I jumped over somebody and I got jumped over. So there was a lot of trust in that show. A lot of trust.
That's when Cavies were just stunt oriented. Like drill moves were stunts. They were just like lots of wild moments. And that's what made Cavies, man. That's what drew everybody to them during that decade. It was all that stuff. So I can see why, for sure. So you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. You can get your Blue Colts shirt from Intermission that Chris Klein is so graciously and lovely represents. So lots of things. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. We got some more stuff coming for you. Probably give you like a mid-season review of BOA. Covering it every week is kind of hard on us since we all are teaching our own kids and doing our own competition.
I'm not doing that ever, so don't expect me to.
So I don't know. I looked. I saw some results. Kentucky groups did pretty well at Orbits. I don't know how to say.
I didn't even know there was a BOA show.
Yeah,
already.
I'm the nerd of the group. I know. But saw some good Kentucky representation at those BOA shows. So good for you guys. I think LaRue County won Class A at where they were at. And then at that same show, I believe George Rogers, Clark, Anderson County, and Campbell County all made finals.
All right, AJ.
So yeah. So lots of
I
good
can't hear
things.
you, Campbell County.
So anyway, for Zach, Will, Chris, and Jordan, my name is Cedric. There's been another episode of On the Back Hash. Make sure you guys take care. Go out and watch a local marching band show. Cheer on those kiddos because they're doing their thing, and it's hot.
And buy stuff from the bake sale and
buy concessions and put money in the spirit jar.
Yeah,
cheer for every band.
Yep.
Okay, if you like it, cheer for it.
Don't cheer while the drum line's playing. We want to hear them. I will say it till I die. Some people want to hear them, not the mamas.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, everybody take care, and we are
out.
Dang, it was 1-4 win.
I didn't do it.